For more content like this,
log on to GibboPresents.com.
It's Gibbo, and right now I'm joined by a London-based producer and DJ. It is Cadenza, aka Oliver Rodigan. Cadenza, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Gibbo. Cheers, man. How you doing?
Not too bad, thank you. Let's start with Foundation, your single featuring Stylo G and Busy Signal, which is going to be dropping on the 24th of July, and for which the video is out right now. Am I right in thinking you originally made the beats back a few years ago?
Yeah, I made that beat when I was maybe about 18 in Jamaica. I was over in Portland, which is like up on the north coast of Jamaica. I was doing like an internship at G-Jam, which is a recording studio kind of hotel spot up there. And one night I just kind of just messed around with it. Someone had given me like a new set of drum sounds. I didn't really have much to play with at that age. And I think I built that beat in like literally like 10 minutes in its most basic form. And then like a few years later, my laptop got stolen from my room at university. And it had all like my original beats on it, everything I made from like 16, 17, 18, all those kind of like early beats and ideas. So I lost it and thought I wouldn't really do much with it again. And then last year when I kind of got my own studio and stuff, Stylo was one of the first people to come down, and I kind of just remade the beat because I just thought it would work well for him, and he liked it and jumped straight on it basically.
Why did you feel Busy was needed on track 2? Because I'm sure it would have sounded great with just Stylo alone. For
sure, yeah. And I don't know, I think for me, I've always just wanted to do something with Busy. You know, I really respect him as an artist, everything about him, and he's been going for a long time, sustained a good quality control across his music. He's never really lost that initial spark that made him good. So it was just purely a preference thing. I was like, I really want him on a track at some point. It felt like the right track for him to be on, so that was it, really, yeah.
And of course, Stylo plus Busy would be greater than each of them separately.
Exactly, yeah. It's never happened before as well. I think Stylo is quite excited about that prospect. You know, they've never done a track before, and they're both, you know, representing for their individual sides of the pond. So I thought it'd be cool to have them together.
As I mentioned earlier, the video is out right now and clocking up a serious amount of views on YouTube. I know a lot of Northwest London residents were very pleased to see Lloyd's Groceries featured in the video. Was that your idea?
Yeah, well clocked. Yeah. That was that's where I used to live in Harlesden for a little bit with my grandmother. So that was like the grocery store at the top of our road. And I used to obviously like go in there a lot. And even when I was a kid, because we lived nearby anyway, so it's somewhere that I'd always sort of seen as a kid. And I don't know, for some reason for me, I just felt like if I'm doing a London dancehall kind of record, I just felt, I don't know, for me it just felt like it would be a cool thing to have in there, and that was it. It was just, again, a preference thing, something that a personal thing to me that I wanted to share with everyone in the video.
I'm guessing the timing of the release is intentional to make sure everyone's familiar with it and has it in their rotation, ready for Notting Hill Carnival?
Yeah, you caught me, for sure. Yeah. We held it for a little bit because we knew it had to come out around this time. And yeah, I think people are catching the vibe with it. They think it's going to be a record that's going to hopefully catch on for Carnival and you know, be in rotation, which is what I'm hoping for.
Did you mastermind, if you like, the promotional and marketing campaign for the record? Because it seems like there's been some thought that went into it, from the radio premiere to the release of the video, followed then by the release on iTunes. As I said, did you mastermind this? And if you did, what did you take into consideration other than timing, ready for the Carnival?
Yeah, it was all about getting the right video together. You know, a lot of dancehall reggae videos tend to be kind of one-dimensional. I wanted to make sure the video was something that people were going to be surprised by and would want to watch over again. And you know, the remixes we got across the record, we wanted that just to give it another dimension that people that people that don't necessarily listen to dancehall and reggae might still be able to get involved with the record. So we've got Zed Bias, Melody, and Benny Page, and then we also got a dub mix from the legendary Greg Morris, who is like the engineer for everyone from Protege to Beres Hammond and all those kind of big cats in Jamaica. So I guess, yeah, the whole thing was just to present a package that was accessible to anyone, really. That's what I wanted to do.
I have to ask, the name Cadenza, where did it come from? Is there any meaning behind it? And who gave you it?
Yeah, I gave it to myself. It's just from, I used to play a lot in school orchestras and things like that when I was younger. And a cadenza is like a classical term. It's a kind of passage. It tends to be at the end of a piece where usually like the head violinist will like play like a really complicated solo passage, and it's usually very super difficult, and it kind of, the audience are usually taken back by it, and it's a real like moment in the piece. So the name and what it meant kind of connected with me. I was like, yeah, I want to be someone that's that good at what I do that you stand back for a minute and listen to it. So it's something I just picked up when I was maybe like 16, just stuck with it.
Show my lack of classical music knowledge there.
Yeah.
You don't make your real name a secret, and I've noticed you sometimes use it instead of Cadenza. For example, on your vinyl releases, they say produced by Rodigan. How do you decide which name to use, or does it just depend how you're feeling on a given day?
No, if anything, I've always maintained my name to be slightly more in the background. I never actually really wanted people to know, if I'm honest with you, but it so happens that, it's kind of hard thing to hide when you're making the music that I make, and I guess in the circles that I move in. So there's no reason apart from the fact I just want people just to listen to the music just because they listen to the music. I don't want them to have a preconception of what they're going to hear or why I'm making music, or if I had help in areas to do what I'm doing. And really, it's not the case. I was always deterred to go into any kind of music industry role by my parents. So for me, I would prefer just to be like known as Cadenza, and if you know that I'm who I am, then so be it. But I don't think it's important.
You say you were deterred by your parents to go into the music industry?
Yeah.
What was the reasoning behind that?
Well, I can see that if I was older, I'd probably say the same thing to my kid. It's not a reliable source of income at all times. You're probably going to find yourself thinking at points, what am I doing? But if you really, really like it and you think you're going to be good at it, then you just got to keep cracking on. And I can see why they wouldn't want me to do it. They want me to have a secure life and know where my next paycheck's coming from and everything like that. So that was their reason behind it. Nothing else apart from just being a protective parent.
You personally, though, did you always think that your career would involve music in some way, or not?
Yes and no. I mean, I think my brother put me on to like music production and DJing when I was younger. And I always knew that I liked it. It was always a fun hobby for me. Like, I kind of stopped playing video games, that kind of stuff, and I would instead just be making beats on my computer and whatever else. That for me was like a release. I was like, that was having fun. So I think at the point when it became like, oh, I could maybe do this full time, I had to kind of make the decision, like, should I really do this? Is this going to be sustainable? But I think you just have to take it as it comes. I never said, okay, for sure, this is my career now. Not going to stop me. I just took each thing as it came, and as I was able to kind of sustain, I kept on going. So it was never like a set decision, I think.
You've been fortunate enough to spend some time with and tour with the mighty Major Lazer. Has your time with Diplo and the crew influenced the way you produce or play music when you're DJing?
Yeah, I think definitely touring with them taught me a lot about creating a good DJ set and a live show and keeping people entertained. I think before I was usually quite safe, and I'd kind of stick to one genre or one tempo for a full hour. but watching them and how they make edits and you know, new vibes and new ideas on tracks to make them feel like, you know, just different to, you know, the standard version you can buy off iTunes, whatever else. It keeps the crowd on their toes, and they switch the tempos and the vibes, and there's so much going on that even if you might not be liking the music, you might be enjoying the dancing, or you might be enjoying, so that it's like a visual overload. And I've definitely tried to take elements of that into how I, you know, DJ as myself. Now I try to be a little bit more interactive and try to, you know, give across the energy that I have inside when I'm playing. Because sometimes I bet you a lot of DJs are loving what they're doing, but they just tend to be head down and just not really looking up at the crowd. But I think sometimes when you just open up a little bit and show people that you're actually having a really good time DJing, playing these records to them, they pick up on that, and it's a wicked feeling when you kind of get that right.
Your label, The Full Hundreds, do you have an idea of where you'd like to take things in the future, or how you would like it to expand and grow?
Yeah, again, it's the label things has always been like a little bit of a passion project, just something that if I find things I like, I have an outlet to put them out. And that's definitely what it's been so far. You know, we've found like this Russian disco and boogie producer. We've got this new rocksteady band from New York called The Frighteners. It's just about being able to put a spotlight on things which probably wouldn't be able to in any other cases. And that's just what I want to keep doing, finding things that I'm really passionate about and giving them a little bit of limelight.
Are there any labels or producers who you look at and think, I like what they're doing? I don't mean that you want to copy them as such, but that you like the way they operate and the way they go about business?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've looked up to guys like, I'd say that whole Hessel crew, Hessel Audio, I think are wicked. They've been able to create a cool sonic, but not even that's trapped by a particular sound. Like, it's just always about, you know, slightly out there kind of club music, and I've always really gotten down with what they do. Triangle, I always like their stuff. Can be a little intense sometimes, can be quite physical music, but I just like people who are just, you know, trying new things and not just thinking, okay, this seems to be kind of the vibe right now, let's just do more like this. I always like to listen to labels that are just trying to just like, okay, how far can we push it? That's what I like to spend my time listening to.
Judging by your releases so far, it would seem like putting out material on vinyl is important to you. Am I correct? And if so, why is this the case?
I just think the music that we put out so far has been important enough to warrant, you know, spending some money pressing it properly and putting it in a presentable condition that people can buy and enjoy the years down the line. I think it's almost like a good test that if you're not probably willing to spend the money to press it, then it might not be worth putting it out, kind of thing. So I think if you're willing to invest in it to that point, then it's music that you should probably take seriously and want to listen to.
Lastly, I'm a huge Soundclash fan, and given that your father is an icon in the Clash world, I was wondering, is it a scene that you pay any attention to or that you are interested in at all?
Definitely. I mean, like, I've always followed what he's done in the Soundclash world, but I don't think it is what it was anymore. I think it's definitely dying in its original form, but, you know, obviously things like the Culture Clash reignited what the parameters of Clash culture are about. You know, they've changed it from something which is not just about just clashing reggae. They're putting different genres together, and I probably see that as being the way things will go if Clash is to continue, because it's the only way that you're going to turn it to a new audience who are going to understand it, because young kids aren't going to know about, you know, Dennis Brown dub plates from '85. They're only really interested in, you know, current tunes they hear now and getting them customized. So I think that would be like a new turning point for Clash culture.
And is the culture clash something you may like to be involved in the future?
Yeah, maybe. A few years away from me still, I think.
July 24th is the date. Cadenza presents Foundation featuring Stylo G and Busy Signal. Go support it and download it legally. Cadenza, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Gibbo. Cheers, man.
Gibbo presents